And another very short notice replacement fight is Joshua Weems taking on Christian Rodriguez. This is going to be at bantamweight at 135 pounds. And it's not the first time Joshua Weems has taken a fight on very short notice. The last time he took a fight on short notice, to my knowledge, is when he fought Franny Garcia on Dana White's Contender Series. He actually missed weight for that fight, so it'll be interesting to see if he can make 135 on short notice. I feel like maybe after that moment he realized that maybe he has to be ready at all times in case the sort of call comes. And he's got the call. He's fighting Christian Rodriguez, who is also, once again, no stranger to taking fights on short notice. He won on Dana White's Contender Series by decision, but he also missed weight himself. Fought against Ryan McIntosh, who was a short notice opponent against him, because he was meant to fight a better opponent, but they couldn't find him anything, so he fought him instead. And then he fought Jonathan Pearce, upper weight class at 145 on short notice, and I like the fact that Christian Rodriguez is moving back down to 135. I definitely think it's his more natural weight class, and I think it's a weight class which he should be able to have a lot of success in. Both of these guys, for the most part, are grapplers. I feel like that's the way I feel like Christian Rodriguez might be more of the wrestler out of the two, and Joshua Weems kind of has a good jiu-jitsu and he has good grappling himself. But in my honest opinion, I wasn't that impressed by Joshua Weems coming into this fight against Franny Garcia, and I picked Franny Garcia to win the fight by decision, and then Franny Garcia knocked him out in the first round, which is crazy, because Franny Garcia, I don't think had ever knocked anyone out before that fight, but it is what it is. He since went on to fight 9-4 opponent and 7-1 Mo Miller, and that Mo Miller win is really good. That's a very underrated win, in my opinion. Beating Mo Miller definitely does mean something to me, but in that fight he was losing, and then he got a guillotine up against the cage in the third round, so I mean, it definitely shows that he can throw up submissions like that, and I feel like maybe Christian Rodriguez can kind of do the same. I feel like Christian Rodriguez, when he fought on short notice against Jonathan Pearce, he had Jonathan Pearce in a guillotine in the first round, and arguably could have won the first round, but, because he was so much smaller than Pearce, taking the fight on short notice, he ended up losing the last couple of rounds pretty clearly. But I think he had a really good showing for someone moving up a weight class against Jonathan Pearce, who's, massive for 145, and I think that's it's going to be pretty good for him moving forward. I like Rodriguez to win this matchup here. He is a massive favourite. He's minus 310 versus Joshua Weems plus 260. I think that those odds are a little bit too wide, honestly. I'm picking Rodriguez and I am pretty confident that he wins, but minus 300 odds on a very short notice replacement fight like this. Joshua Weems, he doesn't have really any KOs in his career. I think he's got 1 or 2 KOs in his career, but when he fights on the feet, he is a brawler and he could maybe make something happen. He's got no striking defense whatsoever, which is why he's got no KOs in the feet. But he's got no striking defense whatsoever, which is why his 2 losses are by KO. He lost to Chris Ocon by KO, and he lost to Franny Garcia by KO. He's also done a little bit of bare knuckle boxing, which is interesting because I wouldn't really consider him to be a striker. But he does have good striking if he wants to use it, and 9 submission wins isn't anything to laugh at, but he's not really a guy that's going to look for takedowns. To use that submission ability that he does have, I feel like maybe if someone's looking for takedowns, it would be Rodriguez in this matchup. And I think that Rodriguez is just the guy that's going to be on the full camp. He's got a pretty good gym behind him as well. I like Rodriguez in this one. I don't like him as a minus 300 favourite. I once again do think that those odds are a little bit too wide. But I feel like Rodriguez definitely should win this one. I'm going to be going with a late submission win for Christian Rodriguez, but I think that Joshua Weems is going to have a pretty good account for himself. And because he took this fight on such short notice, I feel like Joshua Weems will probably get a pretty easy opponent in this next one, because the UFC definitely does tend to reward people that step in on short notice like this and do stuff for the company like that. And I feel like they haven't saved the card, but they've made the card so much better, because this was going to be a 9-fight card, and that would have sucked. So what they've done is they've made it an 11-fight card. They've added 2 more fights. Carlos Motta stepped in. Joshua Weems stepped in. Adds a couple more fights to the prelims. Really buffs up the card a little bit more. Makes it a much better card in my opinion. I think having 11 fights is just so much better than having only 9 fights, because that's not really that many. A lot of the times you get fight nights with 12 fights. I would say 12 fights is pretty standard. And then when you get pay-per-views, you normally are getting 13 or 14 fights. So yeah, pretty excited for this card. I think it's going to be a good one, there's no women's MMA on it, which makes it so much better than any card with women's MMA, so I think it's definitely a card to look forward to. So looking forward to this one. Picking Rodriguez, don't know about the minus 300 favourite thing, but I think he should get it done.